Thank you all for showing up today. I know it's technically an hour earlier than we normally show up. So I appreciate you all being here. And I was actually really happy this morning, not happy to wake up. I shouldn't say that. My alarm went off and I was definitely groggy, but I caught the sunrise and it was beautiful this morning. It was pink clouds and just a nice way to kind of start the day as I was drinking my tea. Good 20 minutes of just watching the sky get pinker and pinker and then turn into daylight. So I guess that was one benefit of this morning. And then the other thing that happened this week, yesterday was a new moon. I don't know if anybody follows the lunar cycles. I know some of you do. And it's a new moon in Pisces, which is a big water element. And so I came across a poem that I'll share while we're doing our centering practice today that kind of touches on that. But the idea of how water is what we are mostly comprised of as humans, and that it just flows through us. And I know I've talked to a lot of people who say when they're near a body of water or when they're in water, it just feels just freeing and fresh and just all the things, we just have this connection to this element, I think, because it's what we're mostly made up of. And so something to think about as we move through this practice, as we go through this lunar cycle here, is that we are very much in touch with our water element, and that maybe that feels like it's rushing through us and everything's happening, and we just have to let that kind of happen however it feels. And maybe it means we're just kind of sitting and simmering, right? So however that shows up in your life for the next few weeks, maybe just some little nugget to think about. In that light, close the eyes here if you haven't already. Sit up a little bit taller. And take a deep breath in through the nose. Maybe parting the lips, letting it out through the mouth. And allowing that breath to kind of wash over you. If you want to picture it like water, feeling that inhale, you're just kind of filling up here. And on that exhale, it literally just washes over you here, pours out of you. Continuing that way here, maybe bringing one hand to the heart, one hand to the belly, and feeling the physical sensation of the body filling up here and then emptying this vessel. And while you do this, while you take a few more rounds of breath, I will read that poem written by a friend. I know when to swim upstream, pushing through the current, called by an invisible siren home. And I know when to let my body be carried by the waves, weightlessly and effortlessly gliding. And those concepts kind of show up in our practice, right? We choose those moments when we just kind of sit in stillness, or we let the practice, the movement, the energy carry us through. And there are other times where it feels like we're really pushing, really swimming upstream, trying to get to where we're going. And we get there. And so taking just a few more rounds of breath here. And then when you're ready, gently blinking open the eyes. We'll take hands to the tops of the thighs or maybe the knees. And just like last week, we'll find some torso circles. So just finding a little bit of movement here, moving the chest forward and back. And this can be as big of a movement as you want or need this morning. And it doesn't matter which direction you're going in, because we'll switch it up in a bit here. And you can really use the energy of the hands pressing into the knees here, and then the movement of the belly forward and back. Maybe you bring the shoulders into it here, finding a more active circles, and then we'll switch sides, so switch directions. And starting to get into the shoulders, getting into the ribs here, the spine, just noticing where you're feeling this. And then eventually coming back to center here, sitting up nice and tall. Inhale, sweep the right arm all the way up towards the sky. And then we'll place that hand on the side of the head here, drawing the right ear down towards the right shoulder, getting into these neck stretches. So playing with the gaze here, maybe you're looking forward and this is where you need that stretch down that left shoulder here. Maybe you take the gaze down towards the right knee and just allow this left shoulder to be heavy. Maybe that even means dropping the arm here, like really finding some weightlessness in this left side of the body. So you can really focus on that stretch in the neck. And again, invitation to take this as deep or as heavy as you need today. Just kind of letting gravity do its thing here. Inhale brings you back to center. We'll sweep that left arm all the way up and then press the left hand down on top of the head so that we can bring that left ear towards the left shoulder. And again, finding where you need to be in this shape. Maybe it's not a static pose for you today. Maybe you're just kind of taking the gaze up and down. Still breathing here. And then coming back to center. Inhale, sweep both arms all the way up towards the sky. We'll take that right arm down, keep stretching nice and long through this left side. And then on the exhale, start to stretch that left arm over to the right side here. Can you kind of scrunch, drawing these right ribs down towards the floor, but getting heavier on that left side so that we're not just kind of lifting and shifting. We're really rooting down here to lift up and then take it over. Inhale back through center. Lift the arms up one more time. And then same thing on this side, starting by taking that left hand down and then really lifting out and stretching up through that right side before you take it over. Pressing down through the right sit bone as we start to draw the left ribs down. And the gaze could lift here if it feels okay for the neck. Inhale brings you back through center. Re-elongate here through the spine. So really starting to stretch that heart forward. And then on an exhale, start to fold forward over the legs. And maybe you take blocks here and you bring elbows onto blocks. Maybe you're able to bring elbows or hands all the way down to the floor. And just allow the hips to be heavy here. So we're still sending that tailbone back as we send the heart forward. Still sending breath into the low belly. Inhale lifts you back up. This time, take the legs wide. Maybe you come to sit more on the edge of your blanket here, allowing everything to kind of drape over that blanket or that pillow. And then you take the legs as wide as you can here, as wide as is okay for you. Maybe a slight bend in those knees. Inhale, lift through the chest, through the spine, and on your exhale, again, starting to take it forward into a forward fold. And maybe you don't get very deep here, and that's okay. Just starting to feel a little stretch in the legs. And same thing here. Feel free to use your props as needed. Again, sending breath to the low belly. Kind of taking it a little more gentle today. whatever that means, I guess, from me. Slowly waking up our body. And then we'll start to take the hands back towards the body. Draw knees together here. Make your way into a tabletop position. And feel free to spread your blanket out across the mat here. Give your knees a little extra cushion. And in your tabletop, knees under hips, wrists under shoulders, fingers spread nice and wide here. And finding some movement, whether it's cat-cow or little barrel rolls, anything here that feels nice. You can start to make some circles with the hips. So kind of like what we did when we were seated, but this time we're bringing more of the body into it. Anything that feels good in your body, anything that gets that spine moving. If you're taking circles here, make sure you do both directions. Taking 3 more rounds of breath and movement. And then coming back to tabletop position here. We'll extend right leg behind us. Toes are tucked, extending through that heel, finding movement or finding stillness here. And then start to walk the left fingertips forward towards the top of the mat. So elongating through that left side and elongating through that lower right half of the body. On inhale, lifting right leg, lifting left arm, point right toes down here. So really squeezing thighs together, internal rotation of that right thigh. And we're sending energy through the left fingertips here. Reaching nice and forward. If you want more, if you want to get into the shoulder, start to get into the hip a little bit, you could bend this right knee, reach this left arm around, grab that right foot, press foot into hands, and finding this kind of sugar cane, this Chapasana variation. Keeping the belly strong here. If you have that Chapasana variation, gently release the foot, release the hand, keep reaching here, just like we started. And then we'll take left hand down, right knee can come down. We'll sit up on the knees, and then from there, extend that right leg out. Find gate pose, up to you, depending on how this feels in the hip today. You can plant down through every part of that foot, or you can root into the heel here and send those right toes up towards the sky. Taking hands to the hips. Breathing in here as you grow a little bit taller. And then on your exhale, start to walk that right hand down. Sweep that left arm all the way up here, reaching nice and long, and then taking it over. Right ribs coming down towards that right hip. Think about pulling out of the pose a little bit here if you aren't able to keep this front of the body open. So just kind of come out of it a little bit, shrug that left shoulder back, and then start to come more into this bend here. Big breath in here. And then on our exhale, left hand plants, right foot maybe lifts, maybe that right arm lifts. And we're still sending energy through the right heel here. Toes point towards what is to you now the front of the mat. And again here, invitation, maybe you bend that right knee and we'll find a little Chapasana on this side. Release the foot, release the hand, come back to standing on the knees, and then come back to your tabletop. This time, oh, yes, sorry, I get all thrown off because I turn to face you. Step that right foot forward. We're coming into a lunge. And give yourself some space here. If you need to kind of step that left knee back a little bit, go for it. You can have hands on blocks here for a little extra space, a little extra support. We're just starting to ease into our lunge. So, taking that right hip slightly back, moving left hip forward, squeezing those thighs here, which might lift you up, pull you out of it a little bit, which is fine. And then you just naturally start to feel those hips open up and release as we settle into our lunge. Hands can be on the floor, hands can be on blocks, whatever is working for you today. Notice if you're holding tension. Notice if there's somewhere you can soften here. Maybe you're squeezing your glutes, maybe you're holding your breath. Can you kind of release that? And then on an exhale, start to straighten this right leg and take those hips back, coming into a half split here. So toes start to come in towards the face, and then we're sending energy through the ball of that right foot. And same thing here, you might feel your hips start to get out of balance. So can you now draw this left hip back, draw right hip back, still squeezing thighs together here. If you want a little more, inhale, extending nice and long through the spine, and on your exhale, start to fold over that leg. On your next inhale, taking a bend back into that right knee, plant this left hand down on a block or on the mat and twist open towards the right, finding your lunge twist. Beautiful. Keep extending through the crown of the head. And then exhale, sweep that right hand down, send that right knee back, find your tabletop position. And when you're ready, extend long through that left leg. And again, finding movement, finding stillness, whatever is working for you here. And eventually starting to walk right fingertips forward. And on an inhale, lifting right arm, lifting left leg. Left toes point down here. Squeezing thighs together. Belly is strong. Maybe you reach around, bending that left knee, grabbing that left foot. Bringing some energy in here, really pressing down into that left hand, pressing foot into hands. And if you have the foot, gently release it, come back to that extension. And then we'll take right hand down, left knee comes down so that you can come to stand on the knees here and then extend that left leg out to the side. And again, option to keep those feet planted or bring the toes up towards the sky here. It's just kind of the rotation of the thigh changes. So whatever feels okay for your hips today. Inhale, sweep that right arm nice and long. And then on your exhale, start to walk that left hand down as you keep the length on the right side and take it over to the left. Drawing left ribs down towards left hip here and stretching nice and long through this right side. Gaze can lift here maybe. And then we'll take a sweep all the way down. Right hand plants, lift that left foot, left toes point towards the front of the mat now. Maybe left hand lift here. And maybe, again, you take a bend in the left knee, grab that foot, and press the foot into the hand, finding a little shoulder opening here. Gently release that grip and take this left knee forward, coming into your lunge here, taking time to space yourself out as you need to. Hands can be on blocks, even if it's just a start as you kind of work your way into it here. Squeeze those thighs together and then let those hips soften, let them relax. On your next exhale, lengthen through that left leg as you send the hips back. Toes lift up here, and we're bringing energy into the ball of the foot. If you want a little more, inhale to lengthen and exhale to start to fold. On your next exhale, bending back into that left knee, plant the right hand here and twist open to the left. Lunge twist. See if you can draw that left shoulder down the spine here, finding just a touch more opening. And then sweep that left hand down, come back to your tabletop. You'll tuck toes here and then come to sit back on the heels, getting a little bit of a stretch in the feet. So it might not feel like much, but I know your feet, your toes will appreciate it, especially maybe as the weather starts to get warmer like it has been and we're wearing open-toed shoes here. Give the feet a little support, a little stretch. You can bring the hands to the backs of the heels here even, give a little squeeze, apply a little pressure. And then untuck those toes and come to sit on the heels. Take hands behind you here. You can be on fingertips or palms can be on the floor. Just kind of depends on where you're at. Rooting down here, and on an inhale, start to lift the hips, pressing the shins into the floor. Taking that head back if it's okay for the neck here. Shrug those shoulder blades towards each other. So opening up the front of the body here. Still breathing into the belly. And then release the hips, come off the hands, and make your way into downward facing dog. However you want to get there. We will be moving through a few rounds of sun salutations here. So Surya Namaskar A and B. So when I was watching the sunrise this morning, I felt compelled, felt empowered to do a few rounds of sun salutations. It just felt appropriate. And so I'll run you through. We don't usually do a lot of those in this class, but we'll take it slow. So once you're in down dog, we'll all meet there, find a little stretch, find a little movement. And eventually find some stillness here. Taking a slight bend in the knees, really spreading those fingers wide here, maybe spreading the toes, send the tailbone up towards the sky as you start to lengthen the legs and lengthen the heels down. On an inhale, gaze moves forward, knees bend. Exhale, make your way to the top of the mat. Maybe a few baby steps or one big step, eventually maybe a hop. You're folded over the knees here, folded over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift, nice long spine. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up here. We'll meet with hands at heart center. You can kind of shake out the knees here, adjust whatever you need to adjust. Take a moment to come back into your body. And then we'll start our rounds of sun salutations. So we'll move through 3 rounds of A, which doesn't include the lunges, right? It's just that like heat of the body. And then we'll move through 3 rounds of the B version, which does include the lunges. And then we'll see where we are. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up towards the sky. Exhale, fold over the legs. Move with the breath here. Let the breath move you, I guess, is more. Think about that water element. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Plant the hands, take the entire exhale to step the feet back here. Inhale, lengthen through the crown of the head and lengthen through the heels. The bottom of that inhale and the start of the exhale, lower knees, chest and chin, maybe chaturanga if you're there today. Once you hit the floor, inhale, start to lift yourself up. Press the tops of the feet down. Exhale, tuck the toes. Take the entire breath to send the hips back. Stay for the inhale. Stay for the exhale. On your next inhale, bend the knees, gaze moves forward. Exhale, make your way to the top of the mat. Fold it over the legs. Inhale, lift you up halfway. Allow the breath to move you here. Exhale, allow it to drop you. Inhale, taking the entire breath to come all the way up. Exhale, we'll fold right back over those legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step it back. Take that breath. Pause in our plank here for an inhale. Exhale, lower the body. Bend those elbows. Inhale starts to bring you forward, really pressing down through the pelvis, pressing through the tops of the feet, squeezing those elbows. And on the exhale, tuck the toes, send the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Alternatively, you could come into a tabletop here if down dog is not for you. One more just like that. Inhale, gaze moves forward. Make your way to the top of the mat. Exhale to fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift you up. Exhale, fold right back over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step it back. You're in plank here for the inhale, sending energy through those heels. And then on your exhale, you decide how you want to come down. Chaturanga, knees, chest, and chin, squeezing those elbows either way. Inhale lifts you up here. Exhale takes you back. Staying here for a breath. Let it out. Inhale, prepare to move. Exhale takes you up to the top of the mat. Bottom of the exhale, we're folding here. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, pause, hands at heart center. Feel that body warming up here. When we talk about moving with the breath, it's not so much about that actual movement of, I don't know how to put this into words. It's more about feeling that breath and allowing that breath to really guide you through those movements. So think about that as we move here. So when you're folding, you're really taking that entire breath to move through the movement here, and it becomes that flow. So we'll inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. Exhale, fold over the legs, making it nice and sweet and slow. Inhale, halfway lift. This time, right foot stays where it is. On the exhale, step that left foot back, heel comes down. We come up on the inhale for a warrior one. Exhale, plant the hands, step it back, find your plank pose. Inhale here. Exhale to lower however you want. Inhale really flows you forward. Exhale, hips lift, downward facing dog. On your inhale, we're stepping left foot forward, dropping that right heel. Arms come up. Exhale, plant the hands, step it back, plank pose. Inhale, gaze comes forward. Exhale, step it up to the top of the mat. On your inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale brings you all the way up. Exhale folds you right back down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, this time left foot stays, right foot steps back. Plant that heel, lift the arms. Exhale drops you down. Plank pose, stay for the inhale. Exhale brings you down, chaturanga, knees, chest, and chin. When you get there, inhale, move right into that lift. And once you get there, exhale, take the hips back. Inhale, right foot moves forward, plant that left heel. By the time you get to the top, your arms are just there. long enough to come right back down on the exhale. Step that right foot back. Inhale here. Exhale, drop down. Inhale, lifts you up. Exhale, takes you back. We'll do one more round of that one. Inhale here. Gaze comes forward. Exhale brings you to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up. Right back down on the exhale. Inhale, halfway. Right foot stays where it is. Exhale, step that left foot back. Knee, heel comes down, and at the top of the inhale, those arms meet the sky so that they can come right back down here on the exhale. Step back into your plank pose. Inhale here. Exhale, lower it down. Soon as you hit the floor, start to bring yourself all the way up. And exhale, flow it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, step that left foot forward. Take the entire breath, press that right heel down. And when you get up to the top, arms reach. And exhale, come right back down into your plank. Inhale here. Exhale down. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Inhale, gaze moves forward. Exhale, take it up to the top of the mat. Got one more side left here. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, fold right back down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step that right foot back, lift the arms up here. That was an inhale, sorry. Exhale brings you down. Plank pose. Exhale, drop you down. Inhale, lifts you up. Exhale, takes you back. Last side here. Inhale, lift that right foot. Step it up to the top. Drop that left heel. Lift the arms. Exhale, right back down. Step that foot back. Find your plank. This time, drop the knees. Take the hips back. Child's pose. Thank you for doing what you could of that, doing what felt right for you today. Warming up the body, honoring the sun, honoring this gentle shift here that happens every year. Come back to your breath. We've got one last little flow here before we cool everything down. So when you're ready, we'll meet in downward facing dog. Inhale, gaze moves forward, knees bend, exhale brings you to the top of that mat. Fold it over the legs. Inhale to lift halfway. Exhale to fold. Inhale all the way up. We'll meet with hands at heart center. And then we'll keep right foot where it is. Step that left foot back, finding a warrior two here. Feet are perpendicular to each other. You can adjust your stance here on your mat. We'll open up the front of the body here. So shrugging those shoulders back, extending through the arms. Bending into this right knee. Take a peek down here. Is it kind of moving in towards that left side of the mat? Can you move it back? Really squeezing that right glute here. And these are all familiar poses from here on out. I mean, all of those have been familiar poses, but nothing too crazy here. Inhale, flip that front palm, sweep it up and back. Just like we've been doing, can you reach down through this left side so you can grow longer on the right side? Maybe left hand wraps around and finds the little crook of that right hip here. Keep this length in the right side. And then take this right elbow all the way down onto the top of that right thigh, maybe bending a little bit deeper into that knee. Left hand can be at the hip here. Left hand can be up in the air. Keep pressing the right elbow into the top of that right thigh. Keep extending through the crown of the head and keep pressing down through every part of that back foot. Maybe left arm is an extension of that back leg and moves towards the front of the mat here. Only if it feels okay for that shoulder, only if you can kind of keep this opening across the front of the body. Here for 2 more breaths. And then start to straighten this right leg. Maybe you grab a block for that right hand. We're coming down into our triangle pose here. So keeping that length we've created in the left side of the body, keeping that length and space we've mostly created in the right side as we come down here into our triangle. And maybe again, you ease out a little bit. You can take this left hand to that left hip and work more on drawing this left shoulder back. Don't need every extension here. From our triangle pose, we're taking it to the left side of the mat and just coming into a wide-legged forward fold. So bring feet parallel, bring left hand down and just fold over the legs. Allow that body to be heavy. Always an invitation to take something else here if you need. If you're playing with an inversion and you want to come into it, you can play here. You could take some twists if that's what your body's feeling. Otherwise, just kind of hanging out here, playing with where the weight is in the feet. Can you really center it on the feet here? Inhale lifts you up halfway. Exhale brings you all the way up to stand. We'll flip the right toes to face the front of the mat and step left foot up to meet it here. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Coming back to the breath. We'll face this way. And then this time we'll step that right foot back, finding warrior 2 on the left side. So opening those shoulders, extending arms. Notice where the torso is here. Do we have a tendency to lean forward? Can you draw it back here? So we're coming straight out of the earth, not leaning back. We're not leaning forward. That's where having the camera, being able to see yourself does kind of help. Notice all the little things that maybe you don't feel in your body. Soften the shoulders here. Inhale, flip that front palm, sweep it up and back, lengthening through the left side here, lengthening through the right side, even as we get scrunched. Maybe right arm reaches behind. Sit a little bit deeper in that left knee. Keep this length in the left side here as we draw it up and forward, bringing this left elbow down on top of the left thigh. And then we're opening up this right shoulder here. Hand can stay on the hip. Hand can move up to the sky. Maybe it reaches for the front of the mat. Whatever feels okay for you here. And then keep pressing that elbow into the thigh back into the elbow here as we just work on this opening, this expansion of the front of the body. And then can you keep all this length and space we've created as you start to straighten this left leg and take this left hand either down onto the floor or down onto a block. Maybe that right arm comes back down to the hip or it stays lifting up here. Keep reaching through the crown of the head. Keep reaching through the right pinky side of that back foot. Where can you soften here? Dropping right hand down, turning left toes to face the side of the mat as we come into our forward fold. Maybe you take something different here. Maybe the hands walk towards the back of the mat. Maybe you grab opposite elbows. Just finding what you need here. Coming back to that idea of water, letting it wash over you, whether that's emotions that come up, whether that's, actions and things in the brain. Can you just let it flow? Take left hand down in front of your face. Extend long through the crown of the head here as we twist open towards the right. And again, right hand can stay at that shoulder, maybe at the hip, maybe it lifts up. Coming into our twist. Take right hand down now where that left hand was and open up to the left. Coming into your twist, keep reaching through the crown of the head here, but keep sending that tailbone back too. So we're not just leaning completely forward, pressing weight into that hand. And then take both hands down here. Inhale, halfway lift, nice long spine. Exhale, lift you all the way up, step it up to the top of the mat. We'll inhale, sweep arms. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Sit the hips back, chair pose. See if you can sit a little bit deeper here. Notice what's happening in the feet. Can you really plant through those toes? Notice what's happening in the pelvis. Are you sticking the butt out or are you tucking it completely? Can we find more of that neutral ground here with a natural curve in the lumbar spine? And then just keep sitting a little bit deeper. Challenge to you, should you accept it, is to come all the way down from here to your seat, or maybe use the hands to help you. No shame. However you want to come to seated. We're coming to seated. We'll take one final little challenging pose here, lifting those feet and coming into a, oh my goodness, boat pose. So a few options for your boat. You can keep those toes on the ground. Hands can be behind the thighs here. Maybe you extend arms nice and long. Maybe you start to extend the feet nice and long. Just noticing where you're at today. Yes, I love it. Wonderful, everybody. We're here for 2 more breaths. Keep breathing into the low belly, even though it's a little constricted here. And then release completely down to the ground. Press the soles of the feet down into the earth here. Maybe you take the knees from side to side. Maybe you hug the knees into the chest. Whatever you need here, take it for a few breaths. And we'll slowly make our way into the final 2 or 3 poses here. So when you're ready, bringing feet hip distance apart in as close to the body as you can, we'll set up for a bridge pose here. So really pressing down into the feet. Hands can be down at your side here, palms facing down, and then really pressing into the earth to lift the hips on an inhale. If you want to take the shoulder variation where you clasp the hands while the shoulders, feel free. Always an option for you. If you want a more supportive bridge here, you could grab a block and stick it under your sacrum, allowing With the concept of water here, allowing the hips to waterfall over the front of the block. If you're working on getting a little deeper into your back bends, always the option here. Maybe you reach hands for the ankles and pull yourself a little bit deeper here. Just giving you options. Take this as deep or as light as you want. Stay with the breath here. Again, notice where you're holding tension. Where can you soften? And then release the hips slowly down to the earth. Oh, you've got the option of hugging knees in if you like that, or taking feet wide and taking knees from one side to the other. So whatever feels better for you. We'll do one more round of bridge here. So again, all those options still apply. If you want a more supportive bridge, you can grab that block. Otherwise, set yourself up here and on an inhale, pressing into the feet, lifting those hips, and taking as much of this as you need. Notice if your knees are starting to come out towards the sides of the mat here as you lift higher. Can you still squeeze those thighs together here? Imagine you've got a block or a pillow or something between the legs. Keep those knees pointing forward. And then slowly releasing hips back down. Same option here to either hug knees into the chest, roll around that way, or take feet wide and knock knees from side to side. Eventually, we will all take the feet wide. Shift the hips slightly over to the left and take the knees over to the right here. Getting into that hip flexor a little bit. If you want more, you can take this right ankle to the outside of that left knee and press down towards the short edge of the mat, not down into the ground. And hands can be wherever you need to be here. Coming back to that idea of the breath being like water here, can you let the exhale just kind of wash over you? Feeling the peace of being near water. If you have your right ankle on top of that left knee, gently release it. And then we'll all take knees back through center. Shift the hips over to the right and take the knees to the left. An option to take that ankle on top of that knee. Press outwards. When you're ready, coming back to center, hug the knees into the chest. Find some movement here, rolling around on the low spine. maybe coming into a happy baby, maybe another movement here. Just taking a few breaths in whatever shape your body might be asking for. And then when you're ready, coming into your version of Shavasana. So whatever shape is calling to you today, whatever allows you to fully release, grabbing any props, really setting yourself up here for these final minutes. Once you get settled, allowing the body to be soft here. Allowing the breath to be soft. Closing the eyes. Releasing any tension. Tension in the face. Tension in the shoulders, the hips, the feet, anywhere you tend to hold on to things. I know when to swim upstream, pushing through the current, called by an invisible siren home. And I know when to let my body be carried by the waves, weightlessly and effortlessly gliding. Staying here in this space for just a little bit longer. Feeling peaceful here, feeling present, knowing you always have this available to you. Begin to bring some awareness back into your body, finding soft movements in fingers, toes. Might feel good to take a stretch of the full body here, extending long through the legs, long through the arms. And then when you're ready, gently rolling over onto one side and pausing there for a moment. And just allowing yourself to be grateful. Thank yourself for taking time out of your day to connect with your breath, connect with your body. And when you're ready, gently pressing yourself up to a comfortable seat, we will meet with heavy eyelids and hands wherever you feel connected here. Tucking the chin, bowing the head, bowing to your own inner wisdom, your own inner grace, your own inner peace. Thank you all so much for showing up today. Thank you all so much for waking up. Maybe you caught the sunrise too. The light within me honors and celebrates the light within each and every single one of you. Namaste.